Every diver has heard the axiom, plan your dive, dive your plan. Its corollary for diving leadership is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. The principal steps of planning are decide objectives, recognize staff and student or diver needs, identify equipment requirements, schedule location, date, and time, gather information. The first step in planning a supervised activity is to review the dive's objectives, bearing in mind that the primary objective is always safe and enjoyable participation by all. Next is staffing. Identify what roles must be filled to accomplish the dive's objectives and engaging people qualified to assist. Leaders must be able to judge the ability of their support personnel, motivate them, and utilize them effectively. The ultimate responsibility for the actions of diving staff rests with the leader in charge of the activity. While all dives will require certain equipment in common, some activities require specialized gear. Acquiring and checking these items and ensuring that staff is familiar with their function and uses are important parts of planning. Specialty training dives, technical dives, research dives, and night dives, for example, each require some unique equipment. Scheduling often identifies uncontrollable problems or timing conflicts. Variables such as weather, site conditions, engine breakdown, and the like can all have effects. Whenever possible, an alternate dive site plan should exist in case the primary choice is somehow unsuitable. There will, however, be days when the only good choice is to postpone an activity. Leaders should have an alternate day scheduled, and divers should know if this possibility exists in advance. Also consider that if the target dive location is known to be unpredictable and alternative locations are not an option, it may be wiser to promote the excursion as a great day at the beach, with scuba diving as a bonus, conditions permitting. Leaders also need to learn about weather, water conditions, and temperature at chosen dive sites. The best way to obtain accurate information about a planned diving area is to combine research with an advanced visit. Informal interviewing is an essential communication skill that makes planning and leading dives with unfamiliar people easier. Finding out about people's prior dive experiences and training in a conversation is easy, but learning about how they feel about the current situation requires subtlety and time. Gathering information on appropriate emergency equipment and qualified emergency aid providers is part of every NAUI member's planning process. NAUI leaders would also be wise to urge participants to acquire diving medical insurance that will cover the cost of evacuation, recompression therapy, and other medical treatment, transportation home, and hospitalization. Leaders planning diving excursions to remote areas should inform participants in advance of the risk any lack of emergency treatment facilities may potentially create, so that they can make an informed decision on their participation. Medical insurance and emergency contact information should be compiled from all participants. This can include a document granting permission to the NAUI member to initiate emergency treatment and activate local medical services in case a diver is unconscious. Participants should be made aware of staff members' responsibilities and certification status. The activity leader, usually an active status instructor or dive master, takes overall responsibility. The activity dive master is responsible for monitoring surface activities, advising participants, directing emergency response procedures, and working toward the efficient realization of the dive plan. A designated dive team leader, DTL, who serves as a team's representative, should direct each team. Whenever possible, spread out less capable divers among the teams so no one dive team has more than one diver who may require more than normal attention. When student numbers are too large in dive classes, certified assistants may be used to create manageable dive teams or to bring student-instructor ratios within NAUI standards. A certified assistant is an individual who has completed a designated NAUI course and registered with NAUI. NAUI supports buddy diving as a routine practice and aid to safer diving. An activity leader will definitely face liability problems, in case of any mishap that might be even remotely attributed to the lack of a buddy if the buddy system was not endorsed and used when conducting dives. Though the two-person buddy team is most common, some diving specialty activities such as cave or wreck penetration may be best done in three-person teams. During recreational diving, activity leaders or activity dive masters encourage certified divers to select their own buddies. In training, NAUI instructors must assign or approve students' buddy choices. Motivating divers usually involves helping them to behave in their own best interests. NAUI leaders are generally best able to motivate divers by a combination of show and tell. The two main motivational tools NAUI leaders can use are educating divers about our values and attitudes, fostering understanding and compliance through respect for knowledge, and behaving in an exemplary professional manner that supports NAUI's commitment to safe diving and environmental conservation. Instructors often use rules with constructive consequences to aid teaching and reinforce learning. Rules are especially useful for maintaining order and reinforcing learned behavior if they are reasonable, explained, understood, agreed to by those affected. Policies are established procedures based on wisdom, knowledge, or good judgment, and are designed to facilitate or expedite some goal. Policies should reflect prudence and appeal to reason and logic. Violators may not be allowed to continue their participation until they conform to policies. Leaders can exercise discretion in setting the rules and policies for their activities. In fact, the NAUI Standards and Policies Manual is an example of policies. Regulations are laws established by duly empowered authority. Compliance is not voluntary, and punishments are prescribed for violations. NAUI leaders are obligated to know and obey the laws that affect diving, should ensure that participants understand them, and should encourage compliance. Leaders are advised to make sure that divers understand requirements in advance, have the opportunity to discuss them, and thus make an informed choice about their participation. One method of doing this is to have divers sign a Statement of Understanding when signing up to participate in any NAUI activity. A sample Statement of Understanding and Enrollment Agreement is available to be downloaded via NAUI's website. Preparation includes preparing final briefings for staff and participants. Checklists are extremely useful memory aids for diving leaders, staff, or divers. Samples for dive briefings and debriefings are contained in the NAUI Risk Management Handbook. Leaders should organize their personal items and diving equipment, the dive support equipment, spare parts, extra gear, and emergency equipment well before any planned event. Additional preparation tasks include making a written briefing outline for the activity, preparing rosters, including possibly one on a waterproof slate, copying any required forms, compiling emergency contact information, and making final confirmation phone calls to ensure that the emergency telephone numbers you have are current and working. One of the most important results of careful preparation is increased confidence for all. Relaxed, confident divers and leaders will enjoy the event more, and carefully planned, well-prepared activities are much more likely to proceed without mishap.